In today's Leeds news, medical investment that could help DCL and others. Ramazani loan details emerge. New owners and directors test. Leeds to appoint a set-piece coach. International roundup. And Gudmundsson on Leeds United pressure. Morning folks, welcome back to the Leeds View for Friday the 5th of September with your Leeds United news. Hope you're having a good day and week so far. A bit of stuff to get stuck into today. Surprisingly, actually quite a lot of stuff floating around in the news around Leeds today, but also you can check out last night's podcast. Just did a lone stream on my own just to cover off the comments that were made by Robbie Evans and go through it in a bit more detail. You can check that out on the channel if you would like to, but we'll start off today with a medical investment in Thorpe Arch that might see Leeds keep players with an injury record on the pitch a little bit longer. During Robbie Evans' interview, he backed up the club's medical team to keep players like Lucas Mecha and Dominic Calvert-Lewin on the pitch this season, fit and healthy, and mentioned how they managed to do that last season. Isaac Johnson in Leeds Live today has a piece that focuses on Leeds United's medical facility investment in Thorpe Arch that they believe will keep the likes of Dominic Calvert-Lewin on the pitch this season. The first point to mention out is that in the piece from Isaac Johnson, he states that most sides will have 16 players per squad that will average over half a season worth of games, and that's whether they start matches or accumulated minutes over the course of a year. So that's good news from one perspective, as the Leeds have a decent track record in managing their players' minutes. The club have also over the past 2 years invested money in recovery facilities at Thorpe Arch, which provide incremental improvements in the short term but major improvements in the longer term. This is what is being mentioned when they talk about Manor Solomon, Junior Firpo and Sam Byram last season. Johnson says that £250,000 has been invested into wet rooms, sauna areas and recovery rooms for the side, along with 2 new gyms and a revamped medical area. This work was done to help players on the pitch and to maximise their performance as and when they are available. Daniel Farke has also tracks players' minutes throughout the course of a season to make sure that they don't overdo with certain players, and they can keep an eye on the trends of players before they have to push them in to play matches. If they can limit the amount of treatment time for the squad this season and keep these players fit and healthy and on the park, that could go an awful long way to securing Leeds United's Premier League future come the end of this season. We'll see how that one all goes. Let's move on. Larry Ramazani left Leeds United for Valencia a few weeks back, and given Leeds' failure to bring in additional attacking options towards the back end of the transfer window, questions have been asked around the decision, but also around his long-term future at Leeds United. First thing to cover with this is Leeds believe that Larry Ramazani does indeed have a future at the club and have talked very highly about how they feel about him at the club, which is the main reason they didn't allow a purchase option in his loan deal. Leeds believe that putting such a clause in a contract would give the power to Valencia over the course of this year, and Leeds didn't want to do that, as Leeds believe a strong season in Spain would see his market value increase significantly, and Leeds want to control that. Ramazani played 800 minutes last for Leeds United and wasn't expected to play a huge amount of game time this year, specifically not from a starting position. So the decision was made to loan him out to a country that he knows quite well and a manager that Leeds United trust in Carlos Corberán. The most important part of all of this is Leeds have inserted a recall clause in Larry Ramazani's deal, which gives them some sort of a safety net when it comes to January. And given Leeds United directors' comments about Leeds' January plans, this could mean that Leeds have an option to bring a player back as and when they need it come January. The important part with this is recall clauses can only be enacted during an active transfer window, so the earliest Leeds could bring Larry Ramazani back to the club would be January, and depending on how the season's going, that could be a good move for Leeds United. Leeds do see a future, as I say, in Ramazani, and they fought hard to keep the purchase option out of the deal with Valencia, who very much wanted that inserted in it, going as far as Florian Plettenberg talking about the fact that they had in fact put that purchase option in there, which has been confirmed to not be the case. So Ramazani will go for a season-long loan as a maximum. Leeds have a recall clause that they can act in January, and we'll see where we are come that point of the year. Let's move on and talk about a new owners and directors test that could impact Leeds United. And under the new UK government's football regulator, rogue owners could be forced out of clubs in the Premier League, the EFL and the National League. Rules under a new planned owners and directors test are said to be considerably tighter than what was there before, and more scrutiny extended to senior executives and not just owners of the clubs. Rogue owners could be forced to sell clubs under the first part of the regulator's work. The new owners and directors test, called the ODSE, has been proposed as the first element of the new football regulator, and it will consult with fans, stakeholders and fan groups on these topics. Miguel Delaney in The Independent had the following to say on the topic. Although the independent football regulator has been implemented to safeguard the financial health of English game, a significant aggravating factor in this has been the issues of owners, largely due to a previous laissez-faire attitude. The body will now have authority to assess honesty, integrity and financial soundness of owners. Current owners do not need to apply for the new owners and directors test. However, the regulator will have the power to investigate these clubs should any concerns raised about how they run the football clubs. Currently, the owners and directors test can financially penalise owners or disqualify them from owning a club temporarily, as we've seen before with Leeds and Massimo Cellino. But these new regulator ones would see them able to either force a sale of the club or put the club in the hands of a trustee to run instead. They state that these regulated powers will be proportionate and they won't overstep their mark on this. That remains to be seen. We'll see how this transpires over the next couple of months, and we'll see when the regulator finally comes into action what they actually start to do. But they will be negotiating with fans, fan groups and stakeholders as part of assessing whether people should own clubs and whether stakeholders and directors and senior executives behave themselves over their time at the clubs. We'll see how it goes. Let's move on to Leeds United appointing a set-piece coach. And it's finally happening. Leeds United are looking to appoint a set-piece coach, and most will feel that this is long overdue. According to the YEP, they understand that Leeds United are currently going through the process of hiring a set-piece coach, which will be the first time for Daniel Farke. Leeds have signed 10 players in and around 6 foot in height and will now need to look at maximising their options and potential opportunities with the height and increased physicality in the side. Leeds conceded twice against Arsenal from corners. They famously score more goals from set pieces than any other club and have one of the most highly rated set piece coaches in the league. Last season, Leeds United scored 13 times from set pieces against sides who probably wouldn't boast the deepest coaches within their squads last season. But Leeds did end up finishing 11th in the goals from set pieces last season, and largely due to Joe Rothwell's delivery, which Leeds are very much missing this season. So Leeds will now need to look at more creative ways to score from set plays. It might only deliver a couple of points over the course of a season, but given where Leeds are and what the goal is this season, any points they can pick up and any small measurable gains that they can make will be important throughout the season. So we'll see how we get on with a set piece coach. The last one we had didn't work out too well. We'll see if this one works out a little bit better for the club. Let's move on to the international roundup. Leeds currently have 5 players away on international duty for Wales: Carl Darlow and Dan James. Jakub Biel is away with Slovenia. Gabi Gudmundsson at Sweden, and Ilya Groove is out with Bulgaria, which isn't a huge issue for Leeds United. It's probably an awful lot less than we had this time last year, and it gives the other new additions to the Leeds United squad more time at Thorpe Arch to acclimatise to life in Leeds United. But how did the 5 get on? We'll do a quick roundup now. The Wales lads, Carl Darlow started for Wales in their 1-0 win over Kazakhstan, played 90 minutes, and Dan James was on the bench and replaced Brennan Johnson in the 65th minute. So not too much game time for Dan James, which might be a good thing. Ilya Groove played 90 minutes for Bulgaria in their 3-0 defeat to Spain and had a little bit of a to and fro with Lamine Yamal towards the back end of that game. Sweden and Slovenia will play each other tonight, so we'll get to see Jakub Biel and Gabi Gudmundsson go head to head in that game. But there's more to talk about when it comes to Gabi Gudmundsson and life at Leeds United. We regularly talk about the weight of the Leeds United shirt, and it takes a certain type of character to be able to wear it, and even more so to be a success in it. Now, Leeds left back Gabi Gudmundsson has spoken about the pressure at being at Leeds United, and it says that it's more than he expected. Gabi Gudmundsson has looked like he has settled into life at Leeds pretty easily and has looked like one of the stronger signings this summer so far. But he has spoken honestly about underestimating the level of pressure that comes for playing Leeds United. Speaking with Swedish outlet Football Scanlin, Gabi Gudmundsson had the following to say. I'm incredibly proud to have reached this level. I have had a dream since I was little to come and play in the Premier League, and to be able to do it with Leeds is great fun. I knew it was a big and historic club, but it's bigger than I thought. The fan base and what it stands for, it may have to do with the fact that Leeds has only one team in this city and there is more pressure. I knew there would be a lot of pressure, but it's still more than I thought. The media is much greater in the Premier League. How is pressure at Ellen Road? Fantastic. So it seems that Gudmundsson is feeling the pressure, but very much thriving under it at this point. And he said that it was clear that Leeds United want to win every single game from a fan base and from a squad perspective, and that they will have to fight to do that. But he also said that the Arsenal game won't leave a mark on this squad this season. He also confirmed that he's shaken off the knock that he picked up against Newcastle. He also said that that knock came much earlier in the game and that he had played with it for a bit, but has described it as just a knock. And he says he's good to go moving forward. So we'll get him back after the international break along with the rest of them. Let's hope the bodies are all in good nick. And we've got the Fulham game coming up Saturday next weekend coming up. So we'll see how we get on in that as well when they're all back and healthy midweek next week. Folks, that'll be it for me today. You can check out the pod from last night where we did a deep dive into the Robbie Evans interview in more detail and poked a few holes in it as well. And you can check that out if you want to. Outside of that, I'll be back on Monday morning for the Leeds United news. You can check me out on bigup.com for the Ireland game watch along this weekend. Outside of that, I'll talk to you Monday. Enjoy your weekend. See you soon. Bye.